The US military has met its goal of reducing the number of troops in Afghanistan to around 2,500 by this Friday, but it's a drawdown that may have violated a last-minute congressional prohibition. The reduction could complicate matters for the incoming Biden administration. It has to determine how to handle a Trump administration commitment to the Taliban to remove all US military personnel from Afghanistan by next May as a move to spur peace negotiations, and those talks are in an early stage. Joining me now is Doug Herbert, our international affairs commentator. Doug, this drawdown has been long expected by senior military advisors, but as we see there, it comes with many concerns.
Many concerns. You can say that from the Defense Department, well, a lot of senior military advisors' perspective, it's a mess in the making. Look, we know that Donald Trump ran on a campaign promise to end what he called these endless wars, right? Wars have been going on in Afghanistan since 2001, in Iraq since 2003, decades. He said enough. He wants to bring them home. You can't argue that it's a good thing to want to end wars. The problem is the mechanism and the manner and the time frame here. The military officials who know Afghanistan well, who've been on the ground working and commanding there, they see a situation in which violence is surging. Taliban-driven violence is surging higher than ever. Especially in southern parts of the country. Violence against both the Afghan government, but of course, Afghan civilians often caught in the crosshairs of this violence. So it's still a country which is rife with really a civil war going on between a would-be Taliban that wants to come back to power, a lot of concerns about what it would do if it were to regain power. At the same time, there are direct talks that began last September, but direct talks between the Taliban and the Afghan government. Not much headway is seen as being made there, and the Afghan vice president himself recently said that he believes the U.S. is conceding much too much with no real verification mechanisms yet that the Taliban will make good on their commitments to basically disassociate themselves from groups like al-Qaeda, from other terrorist factions which might be among their ranks, and to basically ensure that if they were to come to power, they could give security guarantees that they would not continue launching these types of violent attacks. They don't have that level of security, not by a long shot. And I will mention, you mentioned that legal prohibition in Congress. That's no small matter because the Congress basically passed a bill which basically said that you cannot spend money, the Trump administration, from money from last year's budget or this year's budget to reduce troops below 4,000. On the ground. This would bring them down to about 2,000 or so. So it really does come up against that legal congressional prohibition. Very dicey.
And this is going to make it all incredibly tricky for Joe Biden and his team.
As if Afghanistan weren't tricky enough, caught in this eternal debate between, the sort of populist pitch, end the wars in Afghanistan, get those troops out. It sounds great. It plays to the masses. Yet at the same time, given that extremely dangerous situation, that it's being done, the concern that this type of drawdown is being done too quickly, too speedily, and too slipshod a manner, and that there's a wiser way of doing this. Joe Biden is known to favor a small, intelligence-driven counterterrorism presence. The big fear right now in the United States is that once the U.S. troops are out, the Islamic State affiliate in that area, the Islamic State, as we know, was degraded, was basically uprooted in Syria and in Iraq, but that it could basically have safe harbor in Afghanistan, in cahoots with the Taliban, and regroup there and actually rebuild a caliphate. That's the big thing. What's the balance here? What does Joe Biden do going forward? How and whether he should proceed with this Trump-led drawdown?
Doug Herbert, thank you.